Good morning. This is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, with the latest garden tour. This is the week of July 2nd, and everything is really blooming now. This is beside my greenhouse. Lots going on. I got my zinnias started in that barrel, and they're coming up and doing good. I also have the heavenly blue morning glories, which finally the birds are leaving them alone. And along here we have some black-eyed Susies, some hollyhocks, and even though they've been attacked by rust, they're still doing really pretty. My chickens over there, they think I'm going to bring them a treat, so they're huddling by the door. And my composter's already full with things I've had to pull out, and I need to add some more chicken manure to it, and the lid is on it. Moisten it down and let it compost. My tomatoes are doing great. It's been hot this past week and everything is loving it. Replanted my green beans there where you see the little cage, and I think I actually have some sprouts coming up. The other sprouts, if you watched last week's video, were eaten by birds. So here we're going along to my back garden, or secret garden, and let me walk around here for you. My Canterbury bell here is going crazy. I thought this was a purple one, and I had hoped it was purple, but it's not. It's pink, and it's just a monster. But we'll get it under control soon. And here is one of my sweet peas. I need to cut the blooms and bring them in for a bouquet. Here's an iris I have yet to trim back. I'll get that trimmed back and it'll just look tidier through here. More hollyhocks back there, and you can see how the yellow leaves on them. That is that rust. So I forgot to spray with a good, I have one that's called green something, green save or whatever. It's supposed to help with the rust. Either that or I'd have to get really clear leaves or kill the rust, is use a systemic, and that isn't good for the bees and bugs, so I don't know what I'm going to do. So here is some echinacea getting ready to cut to bloom. I think that's just a purple one. I need the foxgloves are all done. Here's a little tip top, and I'm going to let some of them go to seed. It'll reseed there and come back up, but I'm going to cut them back pretty quick too. Down here I have my Sweet Williams. My lavender right there, I forgot how tall it gets when it blooms, and I was going to remove it last fall and move it, and then I changed my mind thinking, why do I want to move it? And now I know why. Okay, coming over here, I have some dahlias in the ground. I need a water well here. This gets really dry. My soil back here is sandy, but I have a truckload of compost that I need to get put out here. Some larkspur. These larkspurs have gotten pretty tall. There's those poppies back there that I have just been loving. And if you can see, so are the bees. Down here is my Monarda, or bee balm, and it is going to start blooming pretty quick too. So all along here, lots of larkspur. This all came up by itself or volunteer from seed. It's a little too thick. I need to go through and really thin it out so that other things that are actually planted in here can get a start. I want to show you, this is one of my favorite roses. This is Kiss of Desire. It's a climbing heirloom rose. It has real pretty white with dark pink edging. And over there is my Hyde Hall roses, which they're being obscured by many other plants, so I need to thin out around them. And this is my Aglaia daisy. Look at that. It's also a nickname of it is Shaggy Maggie, which you can see why. And down here is a path. So you can see I need to clear out because I can't even find my path. The black-eyed Susies are getting started. So let me go back over, since I can't really go down that path I could, but a bee might fly up my pants and sting me. Here's the other path that goes through the midway. You can see all these poppies are done. These were some doubles, and I'm letting them go to seed and collect it, and then I got to thin them out. The dianthus along here, I'm going to plant more because they stay short. They live through the winter, and then they just bloom and bloom. That is feverfew. It comes back by itself, and I'm going to thin that out as well. So we were heading over by the studio. You can see a shovel there. I was shoveling out a bunch of the weeds, or the flowers that have turned into weeds. Down here is a ground cover that I love. It is Blue Star Creeper, and grows all along here underneath my bench. Down behind there, that is Baby Tears, and I need to pull out those Aquilegia there. And down here's where I planted more seeds of the balsam impatient. They're not cropping up yet, but any day now they should. And so that's along my back fence line. Ooh, I have some lilies that are coming out. Now this is I think they call it a tree lily. I think that's one of them I bought. Now this is real pretty white. On the inside it has purple speckles. So it's going to be opening up in the next, well, it looks like one is going to be open by the end of the day. So, okay, that's pretty much my back. There's my hummingbird fountain that I did the post on, and I just love it. Even now, it's been like a month, and it's really been a real boon here because the birds and the bees absolutely love it. So there's that. Now we'll go around to the front of the studio. Oh, I forgot. Here's my back, underneath my back deck, and the lattice here is getting covered by these small roses. I showed them to you last time. This one is 16 candles. I never did remember the other one. So they're still blooming away. Actually, they're in pots. If you look down there, you see pots. But I'm sure because of their vigorous growth that they actually went through the bottom of the pots, and now they're rooted in the ground. This is my studio. That white rose there is just covered. I need to trim it back. That's the one that's the ground cover that goes everywhere. And I'm going to dig it up. I might wait till fall because it seems to be doing well there. I just need to maybe make a little pergola for it, or a little, not pergola, but obelisk. And it can wrap around it and keep it contained. And here is some ivy geranium that I have put in a different pot because the one it was in, it had outgrown. It overwintered, so it's looking a little scruffy because it's been battered and bruised. So there's some coleus. And yes, that wheelbarrow is still sitting there. My pear tree, and it still has its pears. Here is a forest of larkspur that I am going to remove. It's starting to go to seed in spots because it's already been blooming. You'll notice here. But the hummingbirds have been enjoying it so much I didn't have the heart to take it out yet, even though it really needs to come out. I wanted to show you, here's my firefighter rose. Right there. That thing smells so pretty. I was trying to put it up there behind the daisies and what have you because then the deer won't bother it. They seem to bypass every other plant in my garden just to get to that rose for some reason. Maybe it's the scent. You can see my daisies are all getting started. There's one of my English delphiniums. Alongside here, the pistachio clematis. It blooms. This one is one of those that blooms and blooms all summer long. I'll deadhead it once it's done with this bloom, and then it just continues on. And I had recently weeded out a lot of stuff here. There was foxgloves and whatever. And I have something coming up. That's either squash or pumpkin. I don't know which. I have a suspicion that it's pumpkins. These iris still need to be thinned out. I have a rose. Here is my Warsaw Nike clematis, and it's still blooming. So I'll be able to really track how long it blooms by these garden journals. Also, when I deadhead it, cut off the seed pods, it continues to bloom. It encourages it to rebloom. My Crown Princess Margarita rose took a beating like all my roses did this year, but I'm going to cut it back, and it should bloom again really pretty. Now this is my Zephyrin Drone rose, and it has been pathetic this year, but I guess all my roses really have been. So I am going to cut it back hard, and next year it should do much better. But I'm just going to cut it down to maybe 3 feet tall and let it grow up from there, and hopefully it will recover. I can only assume that it was from the hard freeze we got after we had some warm weather. Now all this area, I'm going to be bringing in some more soil because it sank, and then I can replant. I'm thinking about more roses along that wall because it's such a good spot for roses. And here is my black-eyed Susies along the side garden. This goes along the side road. The daisies and black-eyed Susies kind of take over. There's a tall stand of coneflower right there. They'll be in bloom pretty quick too. And so that is my side garden. Back to the larkspur. This goes up along the front. Lots of things blooming. My Happy Chappy Rose. Still the oranges and lemons Gaillardia and Coreopsis. And up there is my husband shoveling out the turkey compost. We get it from a local winery who gets it from a organic turkey farm, and it's fantastic compost to put in your garden. So from this side, you can see along there, I have my roses blooming. My Eden rose, which I love, it just keeps on blooming. I haven't even deadheaded any of it yet, and it just still keeps blooming. And lots to remove over there still, but it all looks really pretty. We're in the upper level of the front garden, and this is where my Asiatic lilies are blooming. I have the orangey red one, there's a white one, orange, and some pink. And there is the Roseanne geranium. That was there last week. It's gotten even taller. I can cut that back and it'll make it shorter and it'll continue to bloom. The white rose that blooms nonstop all summer. And more black-eyed Susies. The black-eyed Susies and the daisies kind of take over this time of year, which is good. They continue to bloom too as long as you deadhead. I have some yarrow. This is a pink one. I forgot to show you the one in the side garden. It's more of a darker pink, but they're really pretty during this time of year. This is my hydrangea. This is the one that's Zinfandel. It looks like strawberry sundae. It's very similar, and I can't wait. It'll probably not bloom this year, but we'll see. It's doing pretty good. I've been keeping it watered. So a view down to the front and down to the rest. Now all of these come back every year. They reseed. The rose campion here next to it's a good contrast with the Coreopsis and the oranges, lemons there. And my Elke hardy geranium. I think I'm going to divide that. I'm going to put some of that maybe around the other side or even along the back hillside. But there is my garden tour for this week.